I remember the day I turned 18. That day has been burnt into my brain. There is no amount of time that can pass that will erase the memory of that day. I remember that day so vividly. I see it every time I close my eyes, every time I see my reflection in the mirror, every time I dream, every time a man asks me out, and every time I hear his name. The day started with so much excitement. I was so happy to finally become of marital age. I had been expectant for months without end. Finally, I would be able to receive suitors and fool around with men just like all of my other friends. Me and my friends were going to have a little meeting to drink and celebrate on my birthday. The day had been perfectly planned to be amazing. I wore the red wrapper one of my male friends bought for me. I was so excited because I liked him, and I thought he liked me too when he gave me the wrapper. I wore my dress and beautified my body with beads. I had made my hair just the day before so it would shine new that day. Ah, I remember as I was about to leave the house, my mother called me back, saying she had a very important message to relay to me. Her words still echo clearly till this very day. I remember her saying,
Ine, my daughter, there is something I have not told you, and that's because I believe it was not yet the right time. But now, the time has come for me to tell you. You see, this thing has been our lineage for generations after generations. It's very important that you listen well to what I have to say. It is not an easy thing to bear. But Ine, you, my daughter, you are strong, and I know our gods will give you strength to bear this cross of yours. Ine, listen, oh. Many generations ago, one of your ancestors from your father's lineage angered the river goddess Oshimiri. Oshimiri, in all her might and power and rage, cursed your family's lineage. This curse is that the first female child, whoever she sleeps with, will die.
I remember my reaction for this. Till this day, I regret it. I thought my mom was making up a story because I was 18 now, and obviously, I was going to want to try the big girl and forbidden things. I remember dismissing her as one that dismisses sport milk. I didn't heed to her words. I turned deaf ears to her warnings until this day. I wish I could turn back time. I went out that day. The day had started so beautifully. Me and my friends met and drank palm wine. The boy I liked was also there. He expressed his likeness for my dress, and I saw that his eyes stayed on me for a long time because I was mostly looking at him. It's clear what happens next. The meeting ends, and me and the boy I like, who seems to like me too, will do what is not meant to be done. Our pleasure was cut short with the crow crying in the morning, and with it came sorrow and grief that I could not account for. I woke to find my beloved still before me. I was delusional. I came to the conclusion that I had something to drink or an underlying problem was the cause. I strongly refused to believe that I was cursed, even when my mom came to meet me in my grief when she heard of the news. I still remember what she said. Her words have always been as clear, simple as day.
Ine, I told you, it is so. Many have tried to break and counter it, but there is nothing strong enough that can break the curse of Oshimiri.
And how I wish I listened. Mind you, after the incident, I was not one to sleep with a guy, but one drink leads to another, and that's how my mistakes and those of many others were made. Man after man died, but none died like the first, who was immediate. It would take around 7 to 14 days when it would be hard for others to point direct fingers at me. After the eighth man, I was convinced. It wasn't just their deaths that convinced me, it was the nightmares and guilt that came after. That alone was enough to drive a man to the grave. I went to meet my mother, and she said to me again,
Ine, I told you so. It is what it is. that's been so for so many generations that the reason for why you are cursed has been buried. A man is not all there is to this life. You will find something to do. Maybe you'll go to the city and become rich. The fact that you cannot become a wife does not define your life. Eh? My daughter, all will be well.
I cried and I cried for my life that had been reduced to nothing and for the life of the men I had cut short. Each one of my friends had gotten married and I was the only one left. I dissociated myself from them carrying my cross solely on my shoulders while watching my younger sisters do and have the things I never would. Time passed and I found love in the art of making dresses. My mom, ever supportive of my state, convinced my dad to get me a tiny place of my own where I could make and sell these clothes of mine. With time, I learned to ignore the insults of people who didn't know half of what I was going through, and I learned to find joy in my cloth making. Although no amount of success in that was able to erase the regret and suffering that always lingered. In my business, I had different customers as I was good at what I did. One of these different and regular customers was Ifine. He was a businessman that had it all, and he was a very good customer of mine. Everything was going well until one fateful afternoon that Ifine started to show he was interested in me and told me of this interest. I dismissed him as I would have dismissed a fly, for after all I had gone through, I had never given the idea of a guy a second thought. But Ifine was persistent, if not stubborn. He would so blatantly confess his interest in me various times, making statements like,
Ada, you have to give me a chance. Ada, you cannot say no without trying it out first. Ada, you know I will never stop.
as time passed, it only got worse as he began to make statements such as,
Ada, I want you. I want to make you my wife. Ada, stop resisting this.
he would do this so unashamedly and openly that almost everyone knew of his desires. Some said I had bewitched him to be in love with me, for he had eyes for no other. And how I prayed to the gods that he would stop, that his desires would fade away, that he would let me be, that I would not kill another man who was a good friend to me. But the gods know that even prayers and prayers, it only got worse. And so I decided to make a deal with him. My mom told me then,
Hinny, you're making a mistake. This boy is wonderful. Don't be the reason for his end. Leave him. He'll find another woman.
but only time would prove her words true or wrong. I would go out with him once after. If I said no, he would leave me alone. That was the deal. I made sure to make this one of the worst meetings of his life, but all my efforts were to no avail. The gods helped me, for he seemed to have fallen in love with me truly, truly. How devastated I was because a man who could have everything else only wanted me, and that was not possible. Oh, and how endearing his persistence was. I tried and I tried. I fought and I fought. I even cried. There was nothing to do, but my feelings were unable to read the room, for I fell hard for him. And it happened so slowly, I did not realize until it was too late, until he directly asked for my hand in marriage. My mom did not approve, and neither did I. I told him I would not marry him, and he was confounded, for he had seen my feelings and knew them. I refused him, but Ifeanyi was still persistent and stubborn. He never stopped coming back, so I decided to do the worst thing ever. I decided to tell him the truth so that he would be disgusted by me and leave me alone. But God, this man seemed to be sent by the gods themselves to torture me, because this man had everything he could have but still wanted me, which is the very thing that he shouldn't want, the very thing that could kill him. It became the clearest to me in this instant that my mom was wrong. Yes, I might be the end of Ifeanyi, but Ifeanyi will never find another woman because I was the only one he wanted. I was the only one he would have, even if it meant he would die. And with that in mind, I went on to make another worse decision. I decided to marry Ifeanyi. None of my parents were happy about my marriage, but how could they be? For in weeks, we could very much be gathering to bury the same man I was getting married to. We got married and it was the best day and decision of my life. The gods know. I refused to consummate the marriage with him, no matter how much he begged me to. I would not kill him, but I was desperate. So I visited Oshimiri's shrine and I begged and prayed. But she said,
The cause shall prevail as I deem fit.
all hope was lost. But I was happy to have Ifeanyi by my side. And everything was perfect until it wasn't. It was all ruined on a fateful evening when one drink led to another drink and a mistake was made. I woke up the next morning devastated and dreadful, but relieved to still meet Ifeanyi breathing by my side. And I will remember for long what he said to me.
If I die right now, it would all have been worth it.
Oh, and how we dreaded it. How I spent every second by his side for fear he might disappear any moment. How I woke up each morning with thanks of prayers to the gods. But we were right to dread, as all hell broke loose when Ifeanyi fell terribly ill on the morning of 21 days after. The chief priest examined him and declared him on his deathbed. I was devastated and angry, and I rushed to Oshimiri's rivers and went knee deep begging and crying until she spoke to me.
Why do you cry?
The man I love is about to die of a fault too long ago to count, I replied.
Finally, you feel the pain I did when one of your ancestors slept on my breast, who was to be celibate and would be dead if he decided to no longer be. He was one of my best and died for a woman who could not even shed a single tear for him. But you have proven different. You've shown devotion and love. Go, my dear, and let your love be restored to you.
I thanked Oshimiri and rushed home to find Ifeanyi healed and healthy. I told him what happened, and we were grateful for our luck and the broken curse. Today, even though I will forever be haunted by the 8 lives I took, as I look over my newborn child and my husband, who did not forsake me, I count myself privileged and loved to be able to stop a generational curse and have an amazing life with the ones I love.